up on Carolina Week.
We will once more have a government of, by, and for the people.
Donald Trump announces his first 100. We'll bring you up to speed.
UNC is rolling out a new innovation lab to encourage creativity and hands-on learning.
Some communities in North Carolina are still recovering from Hurricane Matthew. All that and more Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Election Day might be more than a week behind us, but North Carolina still doesn't have a new governor. Good evening, I'm Erin Wygant.
And I'm Sharon Nunn. The race between Pat McCrory and Roy Cooper is tight, and we'll bring you the latest. But first, we go to breaking news at Duke University. Students at Duke University are among thousands nationwide who were walking out of classes in protest of Donald Trump's immigration policies. Here are photos that have just been posted to Twitter. The Duke students left their classes this afternoon, demanding that Duke be converted to a sanctuary campus to protect illegal immigrants from being deported. President-elect Trump has said he will crack down on those illegal immigrants. Duke is one of more than 80 campuses across the country staging similar protests.
North Carolinians will no longer have to wait a little longer to find out who their governor will be. Reporter Katie Kamen is live in the studio with more on this very tight race. Katie?
On election night, Democratic candidate Roy Cooper gave an acceptance speech declaring victory against current governor Pat McCrory. But in reality, the race was and still is too close to call. North Carolinians might have to wait until after Thanksgiving to get their answer. That's after provisional and absentee ballots are counted. And on top of that, either of the candidates can then request a recount if the race is within 10,000 votes. Here's a quick timeline for you. Late on election night, McCrory had 60,000 vote lead on Cooper. Then Durham County submitted its votes after the deadline because of a server problem. That flipped the race to Cooper leading by 2,500 votes. The latest numbers show Cooper ahead by 5,000, but again, this race is close and there are still lots of votes left to be counted. Erin?
Katie Kamen reporting live in the studio. Thanks.
Well, we have our first look at what President-elect Donald Trump wants to do in his first 100 days of office. Here are a few highlights of some of the biggest things that he says he wants to accomplish. Impose term limits on all members of Congress, lift roadblocks to controversial projects like the Keystone Pipeline, which President Obama helped block, cancel payments to the United Nations climate change programs, and begin the process of removing what he calls criminal illegal immigrants. Trump says he plans to also renegotiate or get rid of major trade deals like NAFTA or TPP and suspending immigration from terror-prone regions. Now, the North Carolina branch of the Ku Klux Klan says it's planning a victory parade in celebration of Donald Trump's election to the presidency. The group's website says the parade will be held on December 3rd. However, no specific time or place is listed.
Social media played a big role in this election, from connecting candidates with the public to organizing rallies and protests. I took a look at how social media affected early voting, especially here in North Carolina. Before casting their first ballot, new voters posed for pictures and brushed up on their political knowledge.
I follow both Hillary and Donald Trump on social media.
Donovan Dooley is a freshman at North Carolina A&T State University who uses Twitter to keep up with Donald Trump.
He's bashing Hillary Clinton a lot on his Twitter.
Dooley isn't alone in his search for political information on social media.
Twitter is just like my go-to to know what's going on in the world.
Junior Deasia Jackson speaks for 44% of Americans who get their news from social media platforms.
My favorite thing to do early is voting.
This is why campaigns promoted early voting through online media.
Both parties have gotten better at organizing through social media.
Joseph Kaboski is a public relations professor at UNC who studies data analytics across politics and social media.
The Republican Party did a much better job this cycle of turning out early voters, and social media type campaigns were part of that effort.
More than 3.1 million North Carolinians voted early this year, an 11.8% increase since the 2012 general election. Much of this enthusiasm was spurred by online campaigning and social media echo chambers that group together like-minded people and posts.
I think it's really important, I think it's crucial that people who use social media understand that the reality that is being portrayed to them is not necessarily the reality that exists outside the walls of their digital sphere.
Kaboski encourages students like Julie to continue sharing their voice not only online, but also on the ballot. Students like Julie helped Guilford County set an all-time record for early voting this year.
Sexual assault is all too common on college campuses.
What are the right steps for victims to take? A live report when we come back. UNC has received a lot of press for alleged sexual assaults on campus.
But what doesn't get much attention is what happens right after a sexual assault victim seeks help. Reporter Danielle Wallace joins us live from UNC Hospitals with more on the process. Danielle? Sorry about that. I think we're having a little bit of difficulty with that, but we're still going to go ahead and roll her package and all of the research she did for you.
After sexual assault, time is ticking.
Up to about 5 days we can collect evidence. Obviously the evidence is better the faster you come in, and most states actually their guidelines are 72 hours.
Sexual assault nurse practitioners collect evidence in a rape kit. The kit leaves out no details. One part of the exam involves plucking 50 head hairs and 50 pubic hairs from the patient to compare to any foreign hair found.
I think that would put people through a lot of pain. And when you've already been through something that's traumatic, I don't exactly want to cause you any more pain.
If you're sexually assaulted, you may end up here for up to 5 hours. Nurses collect DNA and photos, swabs are done, and blood and urine samples are collected. The patient will also have to leave behind clothes and underwear for evidence. Despite the grueling process, attorney Matthew Szynski says the sooner a sexual assault is reported, the stronger the case.
Evidence gets stale, people's memory gets foggy. It gets much harder to prove cases the older they get.
But according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, about 2 out of 3 sexual assaults go unreported. One reason? Not every victim wants to involve police. Director of the Orange County Rape Crisis Center, Irene Dwinell, choice if and when to involve law enforcement.
On our end at the Orange County Rape Crisis Center are really invested in hearing you, whoever you are as a survivor, and helping you to get to a place that you feel good about what your next steps are.
But getting a rape kit done at the hospital doesn't mean you have to choose to prosecute. And choosing to get a rape kit done close to the time of the assault could give you more options in the future. Victims of sexual assault may choose not to go through the criminal justice system at first, but choose later on to take the case to trial. In North Carolina, the hospital saves a rape kit for 1 year. At any point in the year, the patient can choose to release evidence to the police department. Sharon.
Danielle Wallace live from UNC Hospitals. Thanks, Danielle.
Carolina Hall is a campus building with a controversial past, and now its history is being put on display. Inside the building, different panels walk viewers through the history of the hall, from the original decision to name it after William Saunders, a KKK leader and former NC Secretary of State, to its renaming in 2015. Displays move through several historical movements, such as the Civil War, Reconstruction, and white supremacy, while explaining how they shaped the university. The final panel displays the Board of Trustees' decision to rename the hall after fervent advocacy from the Real Silent Sam Coalition and the Black Student Movement.
The new Disney film, Queen of Katwe, has been getting rave reviews. And if you're a UNC School of Media and Journalism student, you can see it for free tonight at Varsity Theater.
Why are you letting her win?
I'm not letting her.
The film centers around Fiona Mutesi, a Ugandan girl who learns to play chess. Despite facing difficulties at such a young age, Mutesi earned the title of Woman Candidate Master of the World Chess Olympiads when she was only 15 years old. UNC lecturer Tim Crothers wrote the book that inspired the film. He believes Fiona is a powerful icon for young viewers around the world.
And we hope that Fiona is the model for them to say, well, if she can do it, surely with all of the hurdles that she had to clear in order to make it, I can do it too. And I think that's our goal.
The screening is tonight at 7 at the Varsity Theater on Franklin Street, and it's being sponsored by the Carolina Association of Black Journalists and the School of Media and Journalism. Crothers will also sign copies of his book at 6:30.
A new state-of-the-art innovation space is now open in Murray Hall. The new facility is designed to encourage the UNC community to invent new products that solve, fascinate, and inspire. It's called the Be a Maker Innovation Space, officially launched this morning. Students led tours of the space and demonstrated technologies such as 3D printing and laser cutting. The new facility is 3,500 square feet with rooms dedicated to woodworking, metalworking, digital fabrication, and more.
Two Greek organizations have been hosting an annual 5K to honor the memory of former student body president Eve Carson, who was murdered 8 years ago. A record-setting number of people signed up for the 9th annual Eve Carson Memorial 5K, with almost 1,200 runners at Saturday's event. The course runs through campus and ends in front of South Building. The popular event brings in people from Eve Carson's hometown of Athens, Georgia. Proceeds go to the charities benefiting education opportunities for youth, something Carson held close to her heart. Now, it's been more than a month since Hurricane Matthew carved its path through North Carolina.
Reporter Drew Kurzman brings us to a place where the aftermath is still an everyday reality.
In rural Pembroke, North Carolina, this is Harper's Ferry Baptist Church. He's an electrician. He's a member of the Lumbee tribe of Native Americans, but most recently, he's a survivor of Hurricane Matthew.
I've seen so many people lose everything. I've never seen that before. I've never seen the water, the river water, all the way up to the highway. It's unbelievable.
The water is gone now, drained back into Lumber River just across the parking lot. There, a massive downed tree shows a landscape forever changed by the storm. But the damage was worse elsewhere. Fuller's Old-Fashioned Barbecue is a favorite of the Lumbee locals. There, a line of discoloration on the wood and grime on the windows tell the whole story. Up to 6 feet of water flooded the restaurant, shattering glass, ruining equipment, and forcing the restaurant to close for the next year. While renovations continue, some members of the Lumbee community took a more personal approach to storm recovery. Here on the side of the road, Briscoe Bartley sells tribal handicrafts with the company of his niece, Brenda Spalding. After the hurricane, she went nearly a week without electricity, one of the many citizens of Robeson County who found themselves in need of government aid.
The government's doing what they can, but it's not moving, fast enough.
Spalding said that the government couldn't fix everything on their own. Federal relief funds only go so far. But that's why the Lumbee tribe stepped in, using churches like this one to collect aid and supplies.
It was beautiful. I mean, everyone just pitched in, just give everything that they could. Nobody was greedy. Nobody took more than they needed. And it's just everyone's been very helpful.
As the tribe and its community continue to rebuild, Spalding, Bartley, Hunt, and even Fuller's Barbecue are just some of the many left behind picking up the pieces.
In Robeson County, the storm left more than 20,000 people without power, but federal emergency funds brought an estimated $19 million of aid to the region.
Many UNC students stay on campus during Thanksgiving break, and for the past several years, organizations like the Office of Student Affairs and the membership of the Carolina Club offer a free Thanksgiving buffet to those on campus. It's a way to enjoy some of the comforts of home, even if you can't make it home. And if you're sticking around Chapel Hill for Thanksgiving break, what kind of weather should you expect?
Meteorologist Alex Clement has the forecast coming up next.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your meteorologist, Alex Clement, with your Carolina Week weather. A couple of things I want to talk about is when the cold will return. We have experienced quite a nice week so far. Also, there's a possibility of rain this weekend, and I've got all that in your 5-day forecast ahead. Looking at the surface map, you can see back to the west here, there's a lot going on. There's this frontal boundary with these clouds and even some snow behind it that's making its way across the country. But for now, we've got high pressure in place over the whole southeast, which is what's been keeping our weather beautiful. But that's going to change soon, even though we have been experiencing a warm trend, and it will get even warmer into Friday. As we move forward, you can see tomorrow, this frontal boundary is going to be coming closer, and at some point over Saturday, it's going to be passing over the area, bringing us a chance of rain and bringing a lot cooler temperatures with us. So we have a great start for Saturday, but it will dive down in the evening hours. As we zoom in to the radar here, you can see that all across the state, clear skies. It's a beautiful day to be in North Carolina. We have low 60s in the Triangle, 60 at Chapel Hill. We have 61 at Duke and Raleigh. And for today, we topped out at 67 degrees with sunny skies. Winds light and variable. Tonight, we're going to keep those light and variable winds and clear skies, but we're going to drop down to 43 degrees. But back in 1967, we had a record low of 17, so I'll take 43 over that. It's not that bad. Tomorrow on your way out the door, we'll be at 47 degrees at 8 a.m., getting up to 63 around noon, and then 65 at lunchtime. For your football forecast on Saturday, UNC is hosting the Citadel. For your kickoff, we've got 39 degrees. As I said, as we go throughout the day, it will be chilly. For your tailgate earlier in the day, it's 53, and then after the game, we'll be at 37 degrees. You can see we do have beautiful skies. For the start of the game, there's a 33% chance that we will have some rain during the game, so a rain jacket or umbrella might not be a bad idea to bring with you. And then the 3% chance after the game. So you can see that as that frontal boundary moves through, as I was saying on Saturday, it will bring with it a chance of showers and possibly the cooler temperatures. Depending on when it gets here, though, it may be warmer for the game, it may be a little cooler, so just be prepared, have a jacket with you. And then for your 5-day forecast, you can see we have 67 on Thursday, dropping down to 42. We'll be up to 74 on Friday, which is really nice. Don't get used to it, because Saturday, even though we have a nice start, after that front moves through with the chance of rain, we do drop down into the 30s, and then 31 for Sunday morning. So it's going to get cold, but we'll be warming back up on Monday.
So essentially it's going to be warmer in the morning, and then it gets later in the day and it gets colder on football, on game day.
Exactly, exactly. As that front moves through, it's actually got some cold air behind it pushing it, and as it moves over the state, it's not going to bring the snow you saw out west, but it will bring those cooler temperatures. So we do have potential for some frost again, but Monday it's looking like it might warm back up again.
Awesome, very excited. Thanks so much, Alex.
Hopefully the warm weather will stick around through Thanksgiving.
Yes, please, that'd be so great. The men's basketball team had a pretty easy game last night.
Almost as easy as a long walk on the beach when Carolina Week returns.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Caleb Waters with the sports. After a blowout win by the men's basketball team on Sunday against Chattanooga, it was more of the same last night against Long Beach State. It was the team's third game in 5 days, but the Heels showed little signs of fatigue. Carolina jumped out to a 14-0 lead on that 7th Woods to Justin Jackson alley-oop. And for the second game in a row, Joel Berry led all Tar Heel scorers last night. He had 23, showing his ability to hit from long range, something the Heels lacked last season, and his strength on the move. You see him here driving, showing some flashes of Ty Lawson. He capped his stellar performance with this dime to Hicks for another alley-oop. Carolina wins it with very little trouble, 93-67. Up next, Roy Williams looks to build team camaraderie in Hawaii.
I've always thought going on the road for an extended time period helps your team chemistry if you're successful. You know, if you're not successful, sometimes it shows the warts.
Now, despite a 3-0 record to start the season, it's not all good news for UNC. In addition to Theo Pinson's foot injury, sophomore Luke May is now sidelined with a sprained ankle that he suffered during the Chattanooga game. He's expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks, which would include the whole trip to Hawaii. And because of the injuries to Pinson and May, other players are going to have to step up to even out the scoring. At the beginning of last season, the scoring responsibility fell almost completely on Bryce Johnson. And while it's still early in the season, this year's team looks to have a more balanced offense than last year's squad. 5 Tar Heels are averaging double figures, led by Joel Berry, who's scoring more than 21 points per game. He's hitting more than half his shots from both the field and beyond the arc. Isaiah Hicks and Kennedy Meeks are both averaging more than 12 points per game, and the freshman, Tony Bradley, is already averaging double figures with just under 11 per game. You're going to see him with the monster jam there. The biggest scoring surprise, though, comes from Justin Jackson, who has struggled in his first 2 years to score early in the season. Now, through 3 games, he's averaging 17 points per game and shooting better than 40% from 3. And to cap off a great night in college basketball, Duke lost to Kansas by 2 points in the Champions Classic. Unfortunately, that doesn't erase the 1-point victory the Devils football team had against Carolina on Thursday. And even after that loss, though, the football team still has a chance for the Coastal Division title. The Heels will have to keep an eye on the Virginia Tech Hokies. Both teams are coming off a loss, but Virginia Tech has the head-to-head advantage. UNC and VT play out-of-conference games this weekend and then finish off the season with ACC matchups. Carolina would have to beat State and have the Hokies lose to UVA, which probably isn't likely, to win the second straight Coastal Division title and earn a spot in the conference championship game in Orlando. Now, the UNC men's tennis team drafted a new member to its 2016 squad, but he might not be the athlete you'd expect. Standing at 3 feet tall, 5-year-old Mickey McCall signed his unofficial letter of intent to the men's tennis team. When Mickey was only 3, he slipped in a bathtub, rupturing a tumor that no one knew existed, and doctors later diagnosed him with leukemia. His parents discovered the program called Team Impact, a program that connects 6 children with collegiate athletic teams to provide support and boost morale during their battle.
We were able to see him at the hospital whenever we could, and then seeing him when he was able to come out to our matches was really cool. You know, he's some days are really tough, and then for him to be out there and showing him and his family come show support for us was great, and we were hopefully gave a lot back to them.
An absolutely adorable kid, Mick and the team have formed a relationship by playing video games and hanging out at the hospital when the team comes to visit.
Wonderful, wonderful story. Thanks so much, Caleb. Now, if you go to ComicCon, you can expect to see lots of familiar faces.
But there are also some lesser-known artists who are leaving their mark in the world of comics. It's an event where Luke Skywalker, Cinderella, and other colorful characters can get together and dance.
Very fun time. And reporter Daniela Ocampo shows us, NC ComicCon is also a career builder.
ComicCon. It's more than just cosplay of your favorite characters. For local artists and writers, ComicCon has become a place to connect with their communities and to get their names out there. Danny Miller of Carborough is an illustrator and co-owner of the Baxter Arcade. He says local support has made all the difference in his career, and it's clear he's got some fans in the ComicCon community.
I mean, I got one of his Versus t-shirts that he actually got done.
Miller is best known for his art prints made for the television series The Walking Dead. But these locals not only want to profit from their success, they aim to make a difference. UNC alumni and comic book writer Jeremy Whitley decided to write his own series called Princeless because he didn't like the message that classic princess stories sent to young girls, especially because he has a young daughter of his own.
I wanted to have something that, still has a princess in it, but a princess who can take care of herself and do her own thing. So I wanted somebody that looks like my daughter and my daughter can look up to be a hero on her own.
Whitley's knack for writing strong female characters has paid off. Next year, he'll be writing Marvel's new The Unstoppable Wasp. He's one of the many at Comic-Con who proves that superheroes aren't just in the comics. They may be right in your hometown. In Durham, I'm Daniela Ocampo reporting.
I bet it was a very good year for Doctor Strange. I bet there were probably plenty of those costumes there.
Yes, I bet with all of the hype for the movie coming out, you got to make your costumes, get ready, go out, see everyone else's costumes.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch in it. Like, he's great. Of course you're going to go see that.
Looks like a really fun time. I don't think I would have the time to make it, but I appreciate the people that do.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks so much for watching, and have a good night.